Once police came to our area, the biggest city in the neighborhood, it was so special. So we saved money and then we went to concert. It was like a dream come true.
Roxanne, you don't have to put on the red light. Those days are over. You don't have to sell your body through the night.
I think it was a beginning of exposure to something beyond my Japanese culture.
When I first heard city pop, I immediately thought Michael Jackson. It was a perfect blend of disco and pop. I had no idea that it would get as big as it is right now, or that I would be doing this at all. I really didn't think that this would happen. Tonight I'm gonna be DJing at a bar in downtown Chicago. We're gonna be doing a city pop night. I honestly never thought that it would get this big or that I'd be DJing city pop anywhere in Chicago at all. When I first uploaded my mix, I had about 100 views, maybe less than that. I uploaded the first video because I just liked the music in general. I really didn't think anyone else was going to be interested in it, but it's something that I found interesting and I really liked it, so I decided to go ahead and make a mix.
Wanting so to hold you. Ooh, you're so far from home. Ooh.
City pop is interesting because it's a word that's been used more after the period than was used during the period. It's a sophisticated urban dance music, usually not terribly loud. I mean, it doesn't sound anything like punk or heavy metal. It's got a much softer sound. The lyrics tend to be fairly sophisticated. They're not simple I love you, you love me kinds of songs. They tend to talk about things like sadness, what it's like to feel alone in the city.
I can't wait till I lose this weary day in you and embrace, see your face. Don't be long 'cause I can't wait.
It sounded so new, especially in the Japanese music scene. And I might have thought that some similarities to the Western culture or Western or American pop music, but I think it was more important back then to know that this was actually made and sung by a Japanese singer. That meant a lot, I guess, back then.
And it kind of became like a Tokyo specific, very much dream-oriented lyrics, costumes, and also the way they marketed the city pop. It moved away from that kind of art-centric idea. In many ways, metropolitan generic. Now we're talking about the love, we're talking about the joy, we're talking about the dream because it's a bubble economy. Young people had a good job. They were able to buy expensive car and pop in the city, pop CD, drive around the, Tokyo highway.
In Japan, we had two huge bubbles in the 80s. How big was the housing bubble? The newspapers were writing that Japan, that is the size of California, the total value of its land is higher than the value of all the land in the United States.
For the first time, there was this sense that Japan might be the most advanced country on earth. And that changes the way you look at your own country. That changes the way you think about the culture of your own country. And so there was a confidence and an optimism.
This time of economic anxiety is not confined to the United States, of course. Even Japan, which has been on a long run of economic growth, now is struggling.
In the 80s, leading up to the 90s, the economy was doing very well, the bubble. And I think music reflects that. People are not necessarily living in the situation being sung in those songs, but at least it seems relevant in the sense that I may be able to lead that kind of life. When the bubble burst, that optimism is also gone, and people realize and face the harsh reality in which that's probably not going to happen.
Music then is a social phenomenon. People are out spending and they're very, very happy. They produce good music and everybody's getting excited. But how can you produce exciting music and tell people go, go, go when people are very poor or people lost their wealth? You can't be a credible musician singing about how wonderful it is to be rich when people lost their money.
Like everything else in the Japanese popular culture, outside of Japan has to be interested in it. Like America or European audience decided to do something about it, then the Japan will be interested.
There's also this real random factor to it. Why? Why that song? Why her?
It sounds familiar, and even though it's from a different country and a different language, it still has a nostalgic value to it because it sounds similar to things that you grew up listening to, that your parents grew up listening to. You live memories of people from a different country that aren't your own. It's an interesting feeling.
I wonder, and I'm curious that those people who are listening to the music now, I wonder what appeals to them.
'Cause I really want to love you.
I think young generation do have a chance to listen to their music, and then good music is good music.
I think city pop is going to continue to evolve and grow. The more people hear it, I think it's going to continue to influence more musicians, more artists. It's going to take on a new life, I think. It's just going to continue to grow and evolve. I don't think it's going to die.